the experience of playing this year for this team, this organization, and over the course of my career too. So I appreciate it. I hope I have always, tried to do the right thing out there, and who knows what the future holds. So we'll leave it at that.
Do you have a sense of whether you'll be back with the Patriots in 2020, and do you want to be back with the Patriots in 2020?
I love the Patriots. I mean, they obviously, they got it's the greatest organization, and, playing for Mr. Kraft all these years, and for Coach Belichick, I mean, there's nobody who's had a better career, I would say, than me, just being with them. So I'm very blessed, and I don't know what the future looks like, and I'm not going to predict it. So I wish we'd have won tonight, and wish we'd done a lot of things better over the course of the season, but we just didn't get the job done.
Is there any possibility that you would retire after this last season?
I would say it's pretty unlikely, but yeah, hopefully unlikely.
Tom Brady, gracious and calm, even though he looked like a bank robber throughout that entire press conference. Nick, has Tom played his last game with the New England Patriots?
I think he has, and I think all the evidence points to that conclusion, and the evidence started 8 months ago. Tom Brady, going into this season, had played 18 years with New England. They had 17 division titles, 13 first-round byes, 13 AFC championship game appearances, 9 Super Bowls appearances, 6 titles. And in the 3 years leading up to this year, it's not like he had trailed off. They had been to 3 straight Super Bowls, only the 3rd team in history to ever do that. They had won 2 of them. And in the league, in the 1 year where they didn't win the Super Bowl, he won league MVP. That's what his resume, long and short, was going into this season. Yeah. And he went into their office with his agent, Don Yee, and said, Mr. Belichick, I'd like a contract extension. I'd like to play till I'm 45. And Bill Belichick slid that piece of paper right across to him and said, no. He said, okay, let me do this. Play till I'm 44. And he slid it right back to him, no. Okay, one more try. Play till I'm 43. Give me a 1-year extension. And it was slid there and then slid right back. They would not extend him after he was here. Now, they are out in the first round for the first time in a decade. He had the worst statistical season of his career. They showed you time and again in Week 17 against the Dolphins, a critical home loss to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and in the wild card round, a critical home loss to Ryan Tannehill, that from a play calling perspective, they don't think they have an elite quarterback. They punt the ball away on 4th and 4, knowing they might not get it back. They run the ball 3 straight times at the goal line in the first half when they have a chance to go up 2 scores. They hand the ball off on 3rd and 1 to a fullback who's actually a linebacker, and they don't go for a 4th and 3 at midfield. Time and again, they show you through their actions, we don't think he's good anymore. And it does not seem to me that Bill Belichick is the type of manager, general manager, that signs players who aren't good anymore because of some personal affection. So unless Robert Kraft parachutes in and says, I veto, which, by the way, he could have done this offseason and did not, then I don't see a path for Brady being back, because he wants to keep playing. He thinks he's still great. A lot of people think he's not as great as he once was, but he's still really, really good. The team around him just let him down. I'm sure he feels similarly. And Bill Belichick does not agree. We have all the evidence in the world, so how could he be back would be my question, Amani.
I think he could be back. I think this is all a negotiation, right? You talked about the different contracts that were offered back and forth to him. I think they want Tom Brady back, obviously, but they want him at the right number. Tom Brady has been playing for the Patriots for a pay cut, under market for a long time. And I think now he's like, look, I don't have many more years left. I don't want to play for any more, I'm not going to give any more hometown discounts, per Jay Glazer this morning. So I just feel that there's a lot of negotiation, prodding going on. You noticed in his press conference at the end of the game, he brings up Mr. Kraft. He brings up all the emotional things about him being a Patriot. I love the Patriots. All this stuff that's work that he can work. He's pulling all of his ammunition to try and be back with the Patriots ultimately. I think he wants to stay there. I think this is all negotiation. And at the end of the day, it's going to be, does Bill Belichick believe that he can bring, with paying Tom Brady as much money as they're going to have to, are they going to be able to get the talent around him? Or are they going to be like Drew Brees and the Saints, where there's Drew Brees and nobody for like 4 or 5 years because he's taken all the salary cap?
I think he'll be back. I really do. I think he'll be back. Again, I don't think they have the successor in place to where they move on and they continue to sustain their level of success. And I say that because that's so important to Bill Belichick. Being successful. If Tom Brady does walk out that door and you let him walk out that door, you're basically saying, I'm going to be able to continue this level of success without you. And I don't see that happening without Tom Brady. Now, it is a negotiation when it comes to the contract. They do have to get the right number. But and is he worth top dollar? No, he is not. And for all the reasons that you mentioned, Nick, in which I agree with it, I agree with all of them. It's just as a player, when you have done so much, and we hear it in his press conference, he has prepared him, not only himself, but his family, everyone around him, to expect the unexpected. Why? Because he's been in this league long enough to where he knows he's not the exception. Would he like to be the exception? Of course. Everyone wants to be the exception. And I believe that the Patriots owe it to Tom Brady to give him that opportunity, not just because what he's done, but because of what he could potentially do if you put the pieces around him that will provide him an opportunity to have success.
It sounds like Robert Kraft wants or thinks, this is just completely up to Tom Brady, and wants Tom Brady back. In an interview with Peter King before the game, he says, I hope 2 things happen. Either Tom Brady retires or he comes back and plays for us. How is it that a couple years ago, Tom Brady has Robert Kraft's ear enough to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, his competition, but yet somehow doesn't have that relationship or his ear enough to walk in and say, hey, you want me here. It sounds like you do. I could play 1 more year. Give me some help, and let's try to roll this back.
I think that I think that Robert Kraft vetoing Belichick on the Garoppolo thing, as all the reporting is that Robert Kraft came in and said, this is happening. I think that was Robert Kraft's one moment of doing that. And I think he knows that as important as Tom Brady has been, Tom Brady is the single most important person in the history of that franchise. Bill Belichick is the single most important person in that franchise in 2020. Bill Belichick has far more great years ahead of him as a coach than Brady has left as a quarterback. And I think Kraft knows, if I meddle in this again, Belichick might leave. Belichick's entire game is, I run everything, and I have the resume to show you how right I am. What if Kraft, I'm sure he would say to him, what if you had meddled when I said, hey, you know, Drew Bledsoe, the guy you just gave $100 million to, made the highest paid player, I believe, in NFL history. I'm benching him for this second-year kid who's played well in the interim while he's been hurt. What if you meddled there? Stay out of the football. That's what Belichick's thing is. And so if he meddles again, I think you'd be choosing. I think you'd be choosing a 42-year-old quarterback over a coach who could do it for another decade.
Yeah, but you look at Belichick before Brady. He wasn't the Belichick. I remember talking to a coach on the staff, and he said that going in, they were playing the Jets when Mo Lewis knocked him out, and they were all expecting to get fired because they were 4-5, or they weren't a successful team. Tom Brady comes in and changes that whole organization. So now they get rid of Garoppolo, and now it's Tom Brady. And if they get rid of Tom Brady and the success for the Patriots goes down, that's going to be like that's going to say, all the success was due to Tom Brady.
But they won 12 games this year with bad quarterback play.
Bad quarterback play?
They had bad quarterback play.
I don't agree, because it's like when you look at the Colts when Peyton Manning left. They were a playoff team. Peyton Manning hurts his neck. Next year they get the first pick and they get Andrew Luck. There's so many things that quarterbacks do, calling the right checks, calling the right protections, getting you in and out of good plays, that you can't quantify in statistics, that if you take Tom Brady out and you put somebody who doesn't have all that experience, you're going to take a giant step back. And I think that, you know, with the lack of talent and you don't have Tom Brady, you're talking about a team that could be on the mend for a top 5 pick next year if Tom Brady's not on that team.
Mike McCarthy says something in his last one of his last years with the Green Bay Packers about Aaron Rodgers. When he was out, he was like, this is what life is like
for the rest.
Without an elite quarterback. And he was experiencing that. He experienced it for 2 years in a row when Aaron Rodgers got hurt in 17 and 18. And so when we talk about Tom Brady walking out that door, you're basically saying, okay,